It's Betsy, and today we have a video I'm super excited to film, and that is testing out the new Melt MaryJane collection. Now, if you do not know, I love Melt Cosmetics. They're probably my favorite brand at this point. I love the whole aesthetic behind everything, and this is pretty much their 420 collection. They do these every year in April because the owners of the brand are avid cannabis users, which, you know, in Texas, it's still illegal, but cannabis is not one of those things that I worry about. You know, I just don't think it's that big of a deal, you know, but to each their own. But I'm excited for this. This is another grungy palette that just speaks to my heart. My husband ended up ordering the whole collection for me, so he bought me the PR box. So this is what the outside of the box looks like. Isn't it beautiful? And it has like the glitter inside the letters that shake there. And then when you open her up, it looks like this. I love the artwork, and look at that look on there. Isn't that just stunning? And then it has all of what is included in the PR box. So you get the palette, which retails for $58. You get the 3 glitter pots, which retail for $19. You also get a pipe, and down here is an acrylic tray, which I think is, this thing is beautiful. Look at that. So it's clear, but you see how it's got like the crystals on it? Like, I think that's so pretty. So this is supposed to be based off of like the crystals from the marijuana plant. So we're gonna get in, we're gonna play. I am excited. And you know, it's gonna be a first impression, but you know, as I said before, I love Melt, so I can't wait to play. So he ordered me the palette, which looks like this. So the outside of the packaging, again, has that raised lettering, and then the shaky letters that have the glitter in them. And then it's that soft touch matte packaging, you know what I'm talking about. And then this is what the inside of the palette looks like. Again, look at that grungy goodness. I am excited because I love shades like this. So we'll start off by swatching her. So we've got the shade MaryJane, which feels more like a topper shade. It's not like lightly pressed in the palette, but it's kind of what she looks like. Feels like you kind of got to dig in there a little bit to get some off. But see, that is like a champagne metallic. Very, very pretty. Then we have Gasper, which is like a dirty, almost an olivey brown, but it is still more of a brown shade than green. And I like that this one is, because a lot of their 420 collections, like the 420 collection, the smoke sessions, are a little bit more on the green side, but I like that this is a little bit more neutral. So then we've got Sweet Lucy. Now I will tell you, when I swatch this shade is crumbly. So you can see in the palette, if you don't like glitter fallout or crumbles, you might want to be careful with that shade. And I would also tell you that for a palette like this, because I know a lot of the complaints about it have been the crumbly metallics, and you can even see like on my hand the texture, like I can literally blow that away. So with that being said, I would do your makeup first. Then we've got Bamba, which, anyways, Sweet Lucy is like a super pretty bronze metallic. Then we've got Bamba, and this one's a lot smoother. So that's, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe that, because it's almost like a brown metallic, but it's a cool tone brown. Very pretty. Then we have Sin Samila, I think is how you say that. So that is like a darker cool tone brown. That's really pretty. And that does look like it has some glitter in it, but I'm not sure if that's actually glitter from the shade. Oh, I think, no, I didn't swatch it with the same finger. Or it's from the fallout from Sweet Lucy, because I don't really see any glitter in it now. So, just so you know, I probably dropped some shadow in it, but that's okay. Then we have Santa Maria, Okay, Santa Maria is like a beautiful charcoal shade. Now again, that feels like it's a little bit more crumbly, but that is really pretty. Now, this is a palette to me that you will get some depth out of, but it is not, it's kind of a one-trick pony. You'll get different looks out of it, but a lot of them are going to feel the same because of the tones in this palette. Then we've got Rubia, which is a beautiful, almost pretty similar. See, it's almost the same as Gasper. Gasper's a little bit more grungy than Rubia, so I would look out for that. Then we have Beau. Beau is really pretty. It's almost this kind of, it's got some of the same tones as Sweet Lucy, but it's not as crumbly, and there is like silver glitter flecks in it, so that is really pretty too. So we like this so far. Then we have Mary, which is like a cool tone nude, which will work great for a transition. That's what it looks like. Very pretty. And last but not least, we have Callie. So Callie is more of like still a champagne shade. So Callie and MaryJane are very similar. Callie is more of a topper shade, I would say. And I know it's kind of hard to see on here, but Callie, let me swatch it again. See how that has a little bit more silver to it than Maryjane, but it again is very close. So one thing I will definitely tell you about this palette from what I'm seeing is there's some overlap in the shades. So be warned. But I do think it is really, really pretty, but I don't think it needed to be as big as it is, if you want my honest opinion. But I mean, I'm still happy I bought it. I collect all the Melt palettes, so I own every Melt palette there is. My husband also ordered me with this order one of the stacks. This is the gunmetal stack, so I'll play with that on a different day. And he ordered me one of their ultra matte lipsticks. This is the shade Frisky. It smells so good. It smells like candy. I love the way Melt's liquid lipstick smells, and their bullet lipstick smells the same, or at least some of them, because some of the ones from the Beetlejuice collection that are more metallic don't smell like that. And then we've got the glitter pots. Now these are something I'm excited for because y'all know, I love glitter. So the first shade that's like it's like a gel almost. The first shade we have is Burnout. That's really pretty. So you can see, and I'm tapping it out so you can kind of see, there's not a lot of base pigment in it, but I do like that there are different size glitters in this. That's really pretty. Really, really pretty. I like that color. And we'll leave the swatches on while we're doing an eye look to see how well they stay. Next up, we've got Pothead. And these jars are glass, and aren't they beautiful? The only thing I don't like about them is that they're gonna get dirty easily. So Pothead is like a true silver glitter. But I think that these will work to give you some wow in your look in comparison with the shimmer shades in the palette. Because sometimes, I mean, and to me, a lot of times that's where Melt lacks. Isn't in their mattes, it's in their shimmers. But I still like it. And then last but not least, we do have the shade Hybrid. So this to me, it looks like a very dark black, almost gunmetal kind of shade. And then it has beautiful tones of glitter in it. So you can see in that one, it's got some multicolored glitter in it. So there's almost like the holographic looking glitter. So those are what they look like. Very, very pretty, very reflective, which, you know, I love this. So I figured we would kind of play with some cringy looks today, because I mean, it just fits my 90s aesthetic for the day. So I've already primed my eyes with the NARS Budge Proof or Smudge Proof, Tinted Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base in Light. I did straighten my hair. I've been using my straightener every single day, and I will tell you, I love that thing. My children are amazing. So what we're gonna start with is we're gonna start using Mary as our transition. I always do a transition, well, not always. I gotta adjust that, that wasn't correct. That's the only thing about using eye tapes. They can be a little bit tricky, but it's okay. So we're gonna go into Mary, pick it up. This is a BK Beauty 201 brush, and we're gonna use that as our transition shade. Pretty, pretty. Now, Melt, their mattes do have some kickback. Again, that's another reason why I tend to always do my eyes first. I prefer a pigmented eyeshadow formula, but they can be harder to work with. I mean, you can see how pretty though that looks. I think that these could be super fun for doing like simple looks too. To me, it's almost like you can do easy 2-color looks, like do those two together, if you want to keep your eye looks more simple. So I think it kind of just depends on what you prefer. And I do have like studio lights in here, but I do try to keep them on the lowest setting so you can get more true to life color, so you can see what I'm seeing whenever I'm doing these. But it still does wash out the colors somewhat. And I don't know if there's a setting I can use in like my editing program, because I don't know enough about it to bring it back. Okay, so that is the shade Mary on the eyes. Next, I'm gonna take, this is a BK Beauty 202. See that shade, that shape right there? I love this shape. So I think what I'm gonna try to do is we're gonna play and see if you can tell the difference. So I just grabbed the shade Rubia right there, and we're going to apply that and deepen everything up. Not getting any patchiness, anything like that. So that makes me happy. This is definitely the Melt matte formula that I love. And that's the thing with Melt. Sometimes their mattes can be iffy. I don't really feel like their shimmers, like I feel like they have unique tones, but I don't ever feel like their shimmers are something to write home about. So that on this eye is Rubia. So I think I'm gonna try, where's a little brush? This, not that one. We're gonna grab, this is a Sigma E25, it's a blending brush. I'm gonna go into the shade Gasper, and we're going to do that on this side and see if there's a whole lot of difference in the shade. Because whenever I swatched them, I didn't feel like there was enough tonality difference that it would make that big of a deal. I think the tone on it's pretty, and I am getting a little bit of difference, but I don't think it's enough that you would need both. I think that I like the shade. I'm gonna take and go back over this with Rubia to make it match more. I think I like the tone of Rubia better. And part of the thing is I'm going to, like, even if I love a brand, I try to be critical because I collect makeup. Not everybody does. And what I like out of something doesn't mean it's going to be what you like out of it, I guess is the best way to put it. And I don't ever try to talk anybody into buying anything. You know, I buy what I like, and hopefully you do too. And certain things work for some people and certain things don't. But honestly, it is a little irritating that there is so much similarity, I guess. But that does look really pretty. I mean, you can definitely see the grunginess in this eye. Let me tell you. And what do you think so far? I think it's pretty. Okay, so that dries down. Doesn't transfer glitter. I like that. I like that a whole lot. Let's see. So I have a wet wipe since that's got a chance to dry. So you do have to kind of scrub to get these off. So just so you know. And it does leave behind glitter. But I mean, it's glitter. Glitters are my favorite thing to work with, but it is one of those things that, you know, if you work with glitter, expect to see glitter. I'm looking at the application tips. The application is effortless and no best. Sheer gel-like base won't budge and vanishes as it dries. No primer needed. Apply glitters to your face, body, hair, and take it to the next level. For a statement manicure, they did have videos on that as well. I don't know if these are eye safe, but we're gonna try it on the eyes. It doesn't, I don't think it says, but most of the time glitters are not eye safe. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm gonna take the shade, no, I wanna deepen up my crease some more. I wanna make it really kind of punchy. So I'm gonna grab, this is, nope, not that one. Where's something smaller? Okay, this is a airbrush creaseless effortless crease by It Cosmetics, and we're gonna go into the shade Sensimilla, which is that deepest shade, and we're just going to concentrate that really on the outside portion of the eye. You can already see how that really deepens up that outer crease. So, in case you're wondering, that's really pretty. Really, really pretty. And as I've said before, I love a good grungy eye. To me, there's really not anything better. Because grunge was like popular when I was going into middle school. So I thought it was super cool, but didn't get to participate in it a whole lot. Because, you know, then it started getting into more of like the goth emo scene, or at least it was in my school. So now I'm gonna take, this is a Sigma, what brush is this? E54 medium sweeper. And I'm gonna take some glitter glue. We are gonna use some glitter glue because what I wanna do is apply one of the shimmers on the lid and then I'm gonna apply glitter over it. But knowing how melt shimmers are, I want to make sure that I apply some glitter glue. I do know that people still have issues with melt shimmers, but we're gonna try this. Okay, actually we're gonna try Sweet Lucy. I really like that shade and it's the most crumbly one and I wanna see what it does. To me, Sweet Lucy's a beautiful color, but it was the most crumbly shade out of the palette. So what I do whenever I'm doing a shade like this that can be helpful is I do take the brush that I used in the glitter glue and I lightly pack on, but I do a lot of pressing motions to really get it in there, if that makes sense. That tends to help me out the most to make sure I don't get as much fallout or crumbliness. Oh, that is pretty. I like that color. But we shall see. And again, part of it is learning what works for you and your shadows. Because some people have sensitivities to, like I know Teresa's Dead has sensitivity a lot of times to wedding shadows. I don't. So, you know, remember that if you do have sensitivities, sometimes these kinds of like using a glitter glue may not work for you. I do like that though. I like that a whole lot. That's really pretty. And see, like, this is the grungy look that I want. It's so pretty. And I'm just taking the other end of this brush because this is the brush from the Sigma Corderosa palette, and Sigma brushes that are in their palettes are really freaking good. So this is what it looks like so far. I really like it. So I'm gonna take the shade Burnout because I think that this will add the most impact on the eyelid. And I'm gonna take, I need a flat brush. This is a Cleona, doesn't say, just one of the flat brushes. And we're first gonna go with the glitter that's on the lid. Because, yeah. And I'm just going to take and tap that out over where I put Sweet Lucy. Oh, that's pretty. You see how that just added to it? Because that didn't have a base shade to it. So I think it does need something under it, but I really like that. And I'm gonna take and do that on the other side too. That's really pretty. Okay. So, we like this so far. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go off camera, I'm gonna do the rest of my face and let this all dry down, and then we'll come back and talk about my thoughts and opinions, first impressions on this palette. So I'm back and I have the rest of my face on. I used the Melt Gold Ore, which looks like this, for my highlight. Look how pretty that is. I used the Melt Genesis, which is actually a highlighter, but I use it as a glowy blush. And then for bronzer, I used the Melt Contour Stack. I used this shade, which is Warm Blend, and I used the Gucci bronzer in shade 2 on top. On my lips, I used, what shade is this? This is the Melt Lip Pencil in Foxy, and then I used the new lipstick my husband got me in Frisky. Super duper cute. And then on my waterline, I used the 420 eye pencil, which is like a super pretty deep teal, but it's still dark enough to kind of fit with that grungy theme. So you can see that I've had this on because we've been discussing lunch and stuff like that for about an hour, doing my makeup and finishing everything off. So far, no creasing really, and I don't have a lot of glitter fallout. So I am impressed. So now let's go ahead and do our lower lash line, but I did want to tell you what I used. So I think what I'm going to do is I want a tiny little brush, and I'm gonna go into that shade Bamba, which is a shimmer, but it's not like, their shimmer, like it's not the most shimmery shimmer. That doesn't make any sense. It makes sense in my mind. And use that on the lower lash line and blend that out. See how much grungier that makes it? It's just like, come on now. Let's give you all the grunge. All the grunge. I don't know, did I tell you what brush I'm using? I'm using a BK Beauty 207. And this is a pencil brush, but it is a dense pencil brush. So it really does kind of help keep the shadows in place if it does want to get crumbly on you, which, I mean, it really didn't, so. I have no complaints about it. So I'm gonna take, this as a clean E27, and I'm gonna go into that shade Mary, just slightly, to use that to buff out the edges of Bamba. So we're just gonna buff that away. See how pretty that looks? I really like how this looks. This is definitely a Betsy eye look and a Betsy palette. Okay, now I need to apply something to my inner corner. So I'm grabbing, this is a Sigma E30. It's a pencil brush. And we're gonna go into the shade Mary Jane. And we're going to apply that to the inner corner. That's a pretty color. So you can see what that looks like in the inner corner, so I'm happy with it. This shade is a little bit hard pressed in here, so it does take a little bit more kind of like digging and layering up. And I wouldn't like just dig in there, like I'm going in soft-handed, because sometimes I can be heavy-handed. And a lot of times with melt shadows, if you're heavy-handed, they can look like doo-doo. Okie dokie. That is the finished look. I am going to take my highlighter brush and I'm going to try to go into the shade Cali right here. See if I can pick a little bit of that up and add just a little bit more glow. Okay, so this is the completed look. What do you think? I think it looks beautiful, but let's talk about the palette. So I used almost every shade in here. I didn't use Santa Maria and I didn't use Bow today, but I used every other shade in here and I think it performed well. But Santa Maria and Sweet Lucy are pretty crumbly, so be careful when applying it if this palette interests you. Now there are a lot of tones that are very similar. Santa Maria and Bamba, Ruba and Gasper, they look different in the pans, but when you actually get them on the eyes, they look very similar. Same thing with Mary Jane and Cali. So just remember that there are some similar tones in here, but I really do like it. Now, the star of the show for me from this collection are the glitter pots. Like, there's no transfer, it dries down, and it looks gorgeous on the eyes. So I really like those. If you have cool tone eyeshadow palettes and this color story doesn't speak to you, then I don't think it's a must. But if you're like me and collect melt and want to have it, then, you know, go for it and buy it. I'll link it down below, but I guess that's it. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button right down below. And if you hit the notification bell icon next to it, that will notify you when I post new videos, which is typically Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, with some bonus content thrown in there. But I guess that's it. We'll see y'all later. Bye.